Over again. There's Zion Williamson out for third straight game since sustaining that grade 1 sprain of his right knee. He was off to the side yesterday at practice going through some strenuous band work.
He hasn't lost his effervescence. Boy, he's got such a personality about him, and obviously a dynamic player, and making progress towards returning. I would anticipate that we'll see him within the next week or so. That's just my guess. I have no inside information, but that sprained knee is typically about a 10-day to 2-week type of recovery.
Clark, he looked awfully good at practice yesterday. The muscles bulging. What a physical specimen, and what a season it has been for that young man and Duke.
Yeah, there's a gap between him and everybody else when you talk National Player of the Year, in my opinion.
Here comes Zach Johnson, the graduate senior, and into the corner. Vasiljevic is fouled on the catch. It's on O'Connell. That's his first. Early stages here in Durham. 4-point Duke lead. Our AT&T Fast Analysis about.
Well, for Miami, it starts with Chris Lykes. His ability to penetrate and get shots for himself or his teammates going to be key. Expect to see him in a lot of ball screen action. He's got to keep the dribble alive and probe until he draws defenders and drops it off like that, or knocks down threes himself. Canadian Bacon, R.J. Barrett style. A supreme bucket getter. He does it every which way you can get baskets, and he's a high-profile matchup for the Canes.
Told you at the top, Miami has had a little bit of success in this building. In fact, Jim Larrañaga, in his time as Miami's head coach, 5-4 all-time overall against Duke. And they have one in this building under his watch. Here is Lykes setting the table outside. That's a 3 from Lawrence. And right now, Miami's struggling from the outside as O'Connell clears for Duke.
Boy, Lykes matched up on R.J. Barrett now. This is one he can just turn around and shoot this if he'd like. If you get that ball up, you can't keep it low.
Lykes trying to draw contact. Barrett is able to clean up his own miss. Clark, could that be by design from Jim Larrañaga? Interesting.
Well, Lykes is a really good defender, and he gets up under guys. He was really in good guarding position there. I thought he could have earned the charge call.
Well, no doubt. He is one of the top defenders, not only in the conference, but certainly in the country. And maybe inch for inch could be the best. Not many inches for that kid. Here he comes to the rack. Broken up by Javin DeLaurier, who's just checked into the game for Duke.
Yeah, nice job by DeLaurier just to wall up against the much smaller Lykes there.
This is Jones, has his pocket picked by Anthony Lawrence.
Good double team that time as they tried to take advantage of Jones in the post.
Here's Lykes, grew up just outside D.C. Played in one of the top high school leagues in the country. Gonzaga High School, the same league that has DeMatha, one of the all-time high school programs in America. Lawrence on the drive, couldn't finish. Offensive rebound is Zundu, and the shot clock resets. Lykes doesn't need it. A little bit too much. Another offensive rebound. Lykes showing the handle, a little bit of contact. Izundu, 3 offensive rebounds, and they finally capitalize.
Well, when you space the floor and you get penetration either with the dribble, pass, or a shot attempt, it's really hard for the defenders to block out. The Canes took full advantage there.
Drive by Reddish, and then contact on the rebound sequence. That last bucket, first points for Miami, Clark, in more than 4 minutes. And that is the question. Can they keep pace on the scoreboard today with Duke?
Yeah, you're exactly right, partner. Here you take a look at the foul. Good play up top, got some hand and a lot of body, and that's why Reddish is going to the line.
So here's Reddish, who grew up in Norristown, PA, just outside Philly. Has been red hot of late, very efficient. First free throw, however, is no good. Oh, want your sports news without the hot takes? Stream CBS Sports HQ, the free 24/7 network, to make you a smarter fan. Download the CBS Sports app today. Mike Krzyzewski wasting no time in shuffling the deck. Joey Baker, who saw his red shirt burned by Krzyzewski, surprisingly, as they've had to hit the reset button since the injury to Williamson. Krzyzewski desperate for some more outside shooting. There's Jack White, the junior, who of course has been on this Just never-ending nightmare drought from three-point distance. He's missed his last 25, going all the way back to a January the 12th game against Florida State. Could this be the day that the young man finally connects?
I hope so.
So Miami down 5 on the road in hostile territory here in Durham. Vasiljevic. Look at that handle. Beautifully done.
Wow, he brushed that off of the garage because that's not something he's known to do. He's a catch and shoot guy. That was nifty there.
Three-pointer from Barrett, too much. White trying to get his hands dirty, but it's snatched away by Zach Johnson. So Miami hanging tight early going. This is Vasiljevic again. In and out, rebound Barrett. Here's Jones around a screen. Now to White from deep. Splash! And that smile worth 1,000 pictures. You think these fans don't know what's going on with that young man? First three-pointer since January 12th. He had missed 25 straight over a 12-game stretch. And Clark, you think of where he was before that streak started. He was at 43%. He couldn't miss from three, and then something happened. What a moment for that young man.
I'm all smiles because I feel good for him because the work he's put in will continue to pay off. He went through an ugly drought, but it might be an eruption now, Spiro.
And that's something they have desperately been missing, the three-point efficiency. One of the reasons why they burned the red shirt of Joey Baker. And boy, if White can start knocking him down with any kind of efficiency and consistency, it's a different Duke team.
Watch out now.
Here comes Barrett. Nasty. R.J. Barrett coming with some violence. Little floater in the lane won't go for Johnson. And right now the Blue Devils in control. Barrett looking for more. Lobbing to Bolden. And it's all Duke.
R.J. Barrett. How do you do? And Bolden on the alley-oop. Duke on a roll here.
Back with you here at Cameron Indoor Stadium as we are just about ready. What a run it has been for Duke as we welcome you high above the floor here in our little crow's nest perch. What do you call this? The chicken coop?
Yeah, whatever. Something small and tight.
In this place, we'll sit anywhere they put us. But what a run is Duke kind of flexing their muscles. Third game in a row without Zion Williamson. What have you seen? 14
of the 18 points in the paint, Spiro. And that's been a problem area without Zion. 43 points per game in the paint with him and just 28 points per game in the paint without him. So off to a great start here in that category so far.
Another Miami turnover. Here comes Barrett. It's a scary sight for any defender. Barrett taking the contact, and that'll be an offensive foul. And a first on R.J. Barrett.
Well, that's scouting report defense there because Barrett is slippery and ill-like when he penetrates, but he's also prone to running right over defenders in good position. Nice job by Zach Johnson to draw the charge there.
Barrett will sit down for Duke as we get our first look at Jordan Goldwire, sophomore for Mike Krzyzewski, Norcross, Georgia native. Sam Wardenberg is checked in for Jim Larrañaga. Meantime in Miami, and the sloppiness from the Hurricanes continues. They've missed 9 of their last 11 shots and just not nearly as efficient as they have to be. Turnover number 6.
Exactly. That's the issue. You've got to be very efficient against a team that plays pressure defense like Duke and is explosive when you do turn it over.
Anthony Mack has also checked into the game for the Hurricanes. Here comes Reddish slithering in. It's a turnover. Stolen by Johnson. Here he goes coast to coast. Everything but the finish as White clears for Duke.
Well, Reddish getting back into the play made Johnson change that shot.
This is Bolden facing up. Bolden making his 20th start of the season today as Krzyzewski continues to kind of toy with his lineup in the absence of Williamson. Knocked out of bounds by Jones. As we'll get a couple of more changes here in Durham. Well, tomorrow on 60 Minutes, a group of kids have filed what may be the most important climate change lawsuit of our time. Will it surprise you and the skeptics? Hear the data for yourself tomorrow on 60 Minutes. Spiro Dedes, Clark Kellogg, our producer Steve McKee, Suzanne Smith, our director, rest of our fantastic CBS crew from one of the most iconic venues, not only in the college sports game, but sports in general in this country. So much history when you walk in this building. Cameron Indoor, an atmosphere thanks to the Cameron Crazies that is just about unmatched in America.
It really is. I mean, it just oozes with excellence and exuberance, championship, and it's quite special.
Here's Mack off the feed from Wardenberg, and boy, they desperately needed that as Miami finally converts first 3 of the day for the Hurricanes.
You know, in the half court, Miami's been pretty solid defensively. It's been the turnovers that have led to opportunities at the rim for Duke.
Well, for all of Miami's issues, they've actually been a little bit better of late as Reddish is fouled. Looks like on a long 2-pointer. It's on Anthony Mack. Miami, Clark, the last couple of weeks, actually a 500 team, 3-3 in conference. It's on Lawrence, who was also in the vicinity. So Lawrence is whistled as Reddish steps to the free throw line. But 3-3 over the last 6 for Miami, and actually took North Carolina to overtime at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and they gave the game away at Wake Forest. I mean, that was a game they controlled throughout and let it get away because of being in a rush offensively and missing some shots and free throws down the stretch.
Well, this is an entirely different animal today that they're dealing with here at Duke.
But there's still only a 2.5 possession game. And if they take care of the ball and knock down a couple of shots, they'll be right back where they want to be.
Here's Lawrence holding for Miami as we come up on the 9-minute mark here in the first half. Dangerous pass fielded by Mack. Inside, looks like off the jersey of DeLaurier, which is 6 seconds to shoot.
Good rotation by Duke that time. They're scrambling and pressuring the ball. Help side defense comes there. DeLaurier, not much space that time for Mack along the baseline.
Lawrence sits and Izundu checks back in for Miami. Hurricanes have to hurry here, which is 6 on the timer. Here's Izundu. Now to Lykes.
He doesn't know.
Lykes has no idea, finally recognizes. Doesn't get rim or did it. And here comes Barrett and Duke. Here is O'Connell from deep.
He's been shooting it really well from the three-point line the last couple of ball games, O'Connell.
O'Connell, a sophomore, came off the bench the first 25 games of the season, and then that first tweak of the starting lineup after the Williamson injury, he was inserted into the starting 5, and today making his 3rd straight start for Krzyzewski. Lykes taking some contact from DeLaurier, and he will step to the free throw line. Second on DeLaurier, the junior.
Yeah, Lykes fortunate here because he had nowhere to go. DeLaurier in good position, and that should have been a clean block. Lykes fortunate to be going to the line on that one.
Well, this kid is as unique a player as we have in America. Sophomore, he's 5'7". As I mentioned, grew up in Mitchellville, Maryland, just outside D.C. 7th in the conference in scoring at just under 17 per game. He's actually 6th in conference play. Their leader in points and assists. You have to be tough where he grew up just outside D.C., but kid is just so dynamic.
And he missed 2 free throws, which you need when you're the underdog on the road. You can't leave that cheese on the line, but you're right. Tough-minded, and despite his small stature, fairly physical player.
Reddish to Barrett, leading him down the paint. Speaking of skill and talent, Barrett going glass.
And you see what happens there? That's a 4-point turnaround. You've got 2 free throws you don't convert, and then Barrett slithers and slices inside for 2. And if you're Miami, you can ill afford those kinds of exchanges here today.
So Barrett now with 6 points. He's now 38 points away from breaking the Duke freshman scoring record that was set here last season by Marvin Bagley. Here comes Vasiljevic. Great look, but Izundu wasn't ready for it. O'Connell ahead of the field. And that was filthy. Well, Zion and RJ aren't the only ones with hops around here. Alex O'Connell taking flight. 7:39 mark left here before halftime at Durham on an 11-point Duke lead. And we touched on how 3-point happy Duke has been in the absence of Zion Williamson. He's still out, but today has been a different story. 18 of their 22 points, Clark, have come in the paint, and RJ Barrett has been one of the catalysts.
Yeah, and I like the shot mix too. 15 2-point attempts, only 6 threes, and Barrett right in the middle of it. So quick off his feet, so adept at getting to the rim. And here he makes a nice pass. You know, this guy's averaging not just 23 points a game, but he's dropping 4 dimes a game, too, plus 7 boards. That is what we call a stat sheet stuffer supreme. I thought you were going to fill in the blank there, Spiro.
That's Clark. That's all you. Okay. I can't possibly steal your thunder there. But you think about the adjustment that it's been for R.J. Barrett. You know, basically going back to the 8th grade, he's always been the best player on his team. Now, obviously, Zion Williamson has been this tidal wave of media attention, and rightfully so. It's interesting how close those two have been off the floor.
It's really remarkable, and I think it speaks to the character of these kids here at Duke. Not only in terms of handling that attention that Zion Williamson gets, but the way they play defense and the way they share the ball is beyond just the basketball part of it. I think it goes right to the heart of the character and the humility of these kids. There you see the numbers. And he'd be player of the year if he wasn't playing with the player of the year.
It's just amazing. He was the #1 rated high school prospect in the country. And then, of course, the tidal wave of Zion just hit everyone in the face. But you talk about a 1-2 punch. I'm not sure we've seen anything like this, not in recent memory, maybe not ever. As Williamson out for a 3rd straight game, but getting closer, and that's the good news for Duke fans.
Exactly.
Went down early in that game against North Carolina just over a week ago here. And it has certainly been an adjustment for a very young, inexperienced Duke team. But not short on talent, that's for sure.
And Coach Krzyzewski is molding and reshaping this team a bit in the absence of Zion Williamson. And every team that aspires to be a champion goes through something. And the adversity, in whatever form it comes, if you handle it effectively, often can serve you well as you get ready for the portion of the season we're heading into now, postseason play.
Quick whistle on the inbound. It's on Anthony Lawrence. That's his 2nd. There's R.J. Barrett, a 68% free throw shooter, to the line for 2. Coming up tonight at 8:30 on CBS Sports Network. It's all on the line in the Mountain West as number 12 Nevada takes to the road to take on Utah State in a game that is essentially for the conference title. And we will be watching later tonight.
I will be. That's appointment television. If you're a hoops head like I am.
That has been a fun game to watch. Nevada. We'll see what
Utah State is pretty good too, Spiro.
Yes, they are.
Sam Merrill can go get it.
Carter Blackburn and Pete Gillen will be on the call in that one. There's a whistle at the other end. Anthony Lawrence bumped, and he'll shoot a couple of free throws.
You You know, sans the turnovers, Miami has gotten some decent looks. Good job here by Lawrence, the second, just to be on balance, use that ball fake to draw the foul.
So here's Lawrence, 125th career game, 9th most in program history. Jim Larrañaga calls him our Swiss Army knife, a kid who does a little bit of everything for them. As he's given the Hurricanes their first points in nearly 3.5 minutes. Now, Jim Larrañaga, Clark, has had some terrific teams at Miami, but this year has been a challenge for him. He's down to 7 scholarship players. And right now 3 games under 500.
Yep, the lean pantry. Hernandez was expected to be a huge part of what they were going to do, and ruled ineligible. And Reddish, I think the most consistent three-point shooter on this team. O'Connell is capable as well. But Reddish has been pretty steady all season long from behind the arc.
Reddish now has hit a 3 in 15 straight games. Longest active streak in the ACC. Errant pass and another Miami turnover.
Ball reversal. Get it to the middle. See what you have. Penetration. Just a little pseudo penetration there. Just enough to make that wing defender pinch. And it's an easy catch and shoot for Reddish.
Reddish leads the ACC in threes made. Now it's 73 on the season. He averages 2.67 a game. That's the 3rd best in the conference.
Oh, the look. Wow. Nice
O'Connell.
job.
That's good. And right now, Duke is carving him up.
Well, Miami, the last 2 possessions went zone. And Duke made them pay with good ball movement, penetration, and a 3-point shot.
The Hurricanes desperately need this kid Likes to get his game going. Drive and kick outside. That's Wardenberg on a 3. First field goal for Miami in 4 minutes and 30 seconds as Jim Larrañaga wants a timeout. 13-point Duke lead. The Blue Devils in command on CBS. Well, 2 weeks from tomorrow, CBS will reveal the 68 teams in the tournament. Have your brackets ready. The NCAA selection show Sunday, March the 17th, 6 Eastern, right here on CBS. The 5 championship banners hanging in the rafters here in Durham. We asked Mike Krzyzewski at their practice yesterday about the coaching chess match between he and Jim Larrañaga. He said, look, it's not about that for me. It's about that. And he pointed up to the banners. No response. Of course not.
That's right.
By the way, meeting with Mike Krzyzewski in this building was kind of like meeting the Pope at the Vatican yesterday. Couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been more accommodating. We watched their practice. Clark, he's so engaged still into every sequence, every drill.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Terrific teacher, and obviously at the top of the top in this profession.
That is Barrett showing the entire arsenal in this opening half. He's got 9.
Yeah, and he's got a full grocery bag, too. I'm telling you, he can do it all.
He's already set the ACC freshman record for most 20-point games in a season, 21 of them, and he's already off and running in this game.
Yeah, Chris Likes is very frustrated. Duke is switching on him. The size is bothering him. He can't find any space, and as a result, he's turning it over. And here's Barrett in transition. So good at getting that shot off from multiple angles. His size, being left-handed, helps. It's a little unorthodox.
Anthony Lawrence, meantime, has to sit, picks up his 3rd personal. So Anthony Mack, the freshman from Las Vegas, Nevada, checks into the game. What a pass inside to Bolden. The vision by Barrett, just remarkable.
Kept the dribble alive, and at the last minute found an open teammate. Miami totally out of sorts, and a big part of it is what Duke has done to frustrate Chris Likes.
This is Wardenberg, tough runner, and the rebound snatched away from him by Bolden. 33 53-16 Duke. As they have hit their last 4 shots, Barrett is bumped by Wardenberg, and it'll be a 1-and-1 for Barrett when we come back.
R.J. Barrett doing what he does, scoring or dropping dimes.
All Duke, 17-point lead over undermanned Miami here in Durham. Let's take a look at the season it's been so far for the Blue Devils. Now the number 3 team in the country. At the moment, they're 3rd place in the ACC. Virginia a winner today, so they are currently at the moment sole possession of first place. North Carolina plays at Clemson at 6 Eastern today. It's going to be an interesting final 10 days or so, Clark, in the ACC.
It will. Keep in mind, Duke has the tiebreaker with Virginia. They swept Virginia this season. I don't know how Syracuse is a bad loss. Could you kind of reconcile that? Perhaps because it happened at home. I'm not sure. But those numbers that you just looked at scream number 1 seed. Whether it's the overall number 1 will be played out in the next couple of weeks. But clearly, that's a number 1 seed team without a doubt.
Well, as Mike Krzyzewski reminded us at practice yesterday, they've only lost 1 game this season when they've been at full strength. That came early in the year, all the way back in November against Gonzaga out in Maui. As today they play their 3rd straight game without Zion Williamson, just about 4 straight if you consider the Carolina game going down early. But Clark, maybe in some way this is good for some of the other guys to get some more experience as they ramp up here for the month of March.
Nothing is wasted in your journey towards a championship. And again, I said it earlier, but adversity has a way of working for you. And Zion is expected to be back at some point. And the guys that have been able to step up and step in only makes Duke stronger going forward, in my opinion.
Here's Lakes. Stops on a dime at the high post, and he is still struggling. Now 0 of 7 from the field.
Been a tough day for Light. Size, active athletic size is what Duke provides with the switching, and he's just been unable to find any room.
Reddish turning a corner, my goodness. Clark, the athleticism of these freshmen is just mind-blowing.
And the maturity, though, too. That's what I've really been most impressed about. There you see the bump way before Reddish got to the rim, but both teams over the limit, so free throws coming.
1-and-1 for Reddish. Foul charge to Sam Wardenberg as Reddish, a 78% free throw shooter, hits on the first. Latter, stay tuned. The AT&T at the half coming up. Greg Gumbel, Seth Davis, Wally Szczerbiak will have highlights of today's top action, including that SEC showdown between 4th-ranked Kentucky and number 7 Tennessee. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Ball stolen by Trey Jones. Duke looking for more. Bolden. He's fouled.
Boy, the bottom's falling out for Miami. That was a careless inbounds pass that leads to an and one potentially. Late getting there, and then the little touch foul. You're going to go after a big guy, Mac. You've got to get your arms. You've got to wrap those arms up. A little flick on the forearm leads to this, a hoop and a foul.
By the way, speaking of Seth Davis, I didn't see any statues on campus, no plaques for the one-time Duke standout student. Caught me by surprise. 40-16 right now. Duke just pouring it on as we come up on the final 2 minutes. Just 2 points for the Hurricanes over the last 4 and change. And they turn it over again. Jones couldn't stuff it. O'Connell the offensive rebound. They'll slow it down with Reddish as we come up on the 2-minute mark. Barrett. And Wardenberg clears for Miami.
Look at this pressure by Jones. Not even allowing Likes to get the ball in the backcourt. And this has happened to Miami a number of times where they've gone through extended droughts.
See that drought on the screen as it continues here. And the call here against the Hurricanes, Jim Larrañaga searching for answers.
Well, when you only got 7 scholarship players the answers are few against a team the caliber of Duke.
Larrañaga, the 69-year-old Bronx-born coach, has had such an incredible career. Three-pointer by Reddish. 14 unanswered for Duke. I think the crazies are kind of tired out at the moment. A lot of fireworks in this first half. Here comes Miami. Lakes.
That's his shot, too.
Hard to believe. 7th leading scorer in the ACCC struggling like this, as that's a three by Mack.
Yeah, but you know, that size and that pressure takes a toll when you've not been able to get anything easy. And then you start pressing a little bit, and the harder you try, the worse it gets sometimes.
See the run. Look at Reddish. Incredible play. Body control, fading back. And showing the upper body strength.
Look at this pressure by Jones. And they've switched bigger guys on Likes at times. And it's really worn him down.
Well, Jones certainly among the best defenders in the country. He's in the conversation for National Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, look at the stance. The lateral quickness, the body position. That's textbook. Textbook.
Three-pointer by Vasiljevic. Every dribble has been difficult for Lakes. 8 seconds. Barrett sizes him up to the rack, making it look easy. And that's the perfect exclamation point for Duke. Just another day at the office for Mike Krzyzewski's Blue Devils. 18-3 run to end the half.
And R.J. Barrett, superb as usual in getting it done, putting the ball in the basket. The defense has been stellar, and Miami has been knocked back in a big way.
13 for Barrett, 47-19 Duke at halftime. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel in New York with AT&T at the half after these messages. Ready for the second half here. High above the floor in our crow's nest, or the chicken coop, as Clark likes to call it. Spiro Thetis and Clark Kellogg. Just 3 points for Miami the last 5.5 minutes in the first half. We know about Duke's offense. Their defense was incredible.
Saran wrap tight was what it was, and everybody, I thought, played extremely well for Duke. But there was one guy who stepped to the head of the marquee, R.J. Barrett. He was superb, stuffing the stat sheet, getting it done in every way possible.
All right, speaking of the stat sheet, let's take a look at our first half stats as we sit in for the first 20 minutes. They are brought to you by Capital One, and we mentioned some of the issues for Miami. Look at the points off turnovers, as Chris Lakes, 7th leading scorer in the ACC, was just handcuffed, and at the other end it was R.J. Barrett.
Sure was. There you see the numbers, 13, 5, and 5, and he got downhill. And when he does that, he'll throw it down. Chris Likes, on the other hand, 17 points a game is what he averages. He's been bageled today, and it's been the defense. Help, rotation, activity, length. It's been a very frustrating first 20 minutes for Likes and the Miami Hurricanes. All credit to the home team, though. They've been sharp, they've been engaged, and everybody, as you like to say, Spiro, getting their hands dirty.
Well, R.J. Barrett closing in on that freshman scoring record set by Marvin Bagley last year. Barrett now just 31 points away after he scored 13 in the first half. Here is Lawrence.
He was the one guy who actually had some success getting to the paint. Had to sit a good portion of that first half with 3 fouls. He actually played only 13.5 minutes. He probably would have gone the distance if not for the foul trouble.
Second bucket for Lawrence. He's got 6. Can Miami make a game of it here? A team just 12-15, 0-8 in true road games this season. As Barrett gets right back to work.
Oh, he really is something. He's so hard to guard. Post you up, take it off the dribble, make the 3 to the degree that you have to at least respect it a little bit.
That's another shot. That's Lawrence Get it inside now. 3.
Well, if you're Miami, you're trying to win the 4-minute segments just to get some positive momentum going.
Well, if you're just hopping on with us, Duke playing its 3rd straight game without Zion Williamson, a grade 1 sprain of his right MCL here against North Carolina a little over a week ago. But boy, no Zion, no problem, at least not today. A Duke team that had dropped 2 of its last 3, the North Carolina game and then at Virginia Tech on Tuesday. But Miami today has just been overmatched.
Exactly. And when Bolden can give you that kind of play in the post, watch out. Good drive here by Zach Johnson. So offensively, the Hurricanes have put together a nice little start here. That's 3 for 3. And 2 of them were at the rim.
Johnson, the graduate transfer, a Miami kid playing for his hometown university after transferring over from Florida Gulf Coast. Actually earned his bachelor's degree there. Finishing up now with the Hurricanes as that one is last touched by Duke with 9 seconds to shoot.
Yeah, air ball misses are sometimes the hardest to get a bead on, whether you're on offense or defense. It's a surprise. I think Azundu there.
This is Barrett. Well played underneath by Johnson. And finally, Miami able to get a stop. Started 2.5 gone by. Johnson taking flight. Unable to put it down as Zundu gets it back. And that's the first empty trip for the Hurricanes in a half.
Yeah, 2 at point-blank range, too, and nobody's watching the ball.
O'Connell. O'Connell's had some fireworks today. The big dunk and a couple of threes. As the Blue Devils get it back with a fresh 30, but first the timeout.
Boy, he got up high enough. Just lost the ball at the last minute. Empty trip that time. But Miami playing a little better here in the first 2.5 minutes.
Tomorrow on CBS, everyone will find love with a little help from above. God Friended Me. New episode tomorrow after 60 minutes, only CBS. Well, there's Rowan Barrett, RJ's father, who is here, former pro basketball player in Canada, actually played for the Canadian national team, and seated to his right, Steve Nash, the 2-time NBA MVP, who is actually RJ's godfather. Nash and Rowan go back a long, long time, their days in Canada. And RJ just the latest import, Clark, for these Canadian prospects that have just taken college basketball by storm as Reddish builds on his point total. So 53-26 lead for Duke. It has been all Blue Devils so far today here in Durham.
Yeah, they're able to switch on the crosses. Bolden so active inside.
Lawrence on a drive and a chance at a 3-point play.
I tell you, he's been the one consistently effective offensive player for the Canes, and this time he just muscles this one up and down against the backpedaling Reddish, and able to get the hoop and the harm.
So 7 of his points have come here in the second half for Lawrence, a senior out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Started Lakewood Senior High. Missed the free throw, but Izundu is there. And a fresh shot clock for the Hurricanes. Lawrence, nifty little pass to Izundu. So a much better offensive display, at least, Clark, for the Hurricanes.
Significantly better. And the only 2 shots they've missed was a dunk and then a layup attempt on the putback. So highly efficient to start this half.
Barrett turns it over. Lawrence dealing in the open floor. That's Johnson on a 3. O'Connell going airborne for the rebound. Told you about Miami, one of just 3 teams that have won multiple times in this building over the last 8 years. North Carolina, Syracuse, and Miami. There's a whistle blown. Barrett fouled on the pass.
Boy, you take a look at R.J. Barrett leading a terrific group of players that hail from Canada. Iggy Brasdeikis, Mario Shayok very well could be player of the year in the Big 12, although Dedrick Lawson will get some consideration as well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had a nice game in the win against Duke. So high-level basketball talent coming from Canada.
And Clark, you think of the influence that Steve Nash had on those kids who grew up watching him, and the influx of talent from that country has really been incredible.
That's a big part of it. Sometimes the young players just need to see somebody they can look up to, emulate, and then once it happens for a couple, it just snowballs.
Here's Lawrence putting it on the deck.
Beautiful find to Izundu. Miami now 6 of 9 shooting in the second half.
Well, you know, sometimes there's a tendency when you've got a big lead and you've gotten it rather easily to relax a little bit. Good cut that time by DeLaurier.
What a pass by Barrett. Clark showing not only his skills as a scorer, but the court vision from Barrett has been magnificent.
And there's excellent defense by Reddish. Mark it up. And you know, Wally Szczerbiak talked about Barrett's feel during halftime, and he's got a tremendous feel for the game, pace at which he plays at. And for a first-year guy, it's quite remarkable to see.
Just an embarrassment of riches here for Mike Krzyzewski and Duke as they await the return of Zion Williamson, out today for a 3rd straight game.
Look at Duke all over the floor. Ahead to Barrett. Easy deuce. At least he made it look easy. 17 for the freshman sensation.
Spiro, that's the one thing that stood out to me when I watched this team early in the year is the intensity with which they can play defense and their commitment to do that.
Clark, I tell you what, seeing Duke in person for the first time this year, the defense from Tre Jones is just off the charts.
Yeah, it's suffocating.
Duke flexing its muscles again on CBS. All Duke here in Durham as we take a look at our AT&T Fast Analysis.
Well, you take a look at R.J. Barrett. He doesn't need a lot of help, but when he gets a chance to get some teammate help to play downhill, doesn't take him much to get to that bucket. I mean, he took off outside of the restricted area, the restricted arc area, and he comes with strength and authority.
Clark, you wonder how far Barrett and Zion Williamson and this Duke team at full strength, how far they can go. Could this be the year that they bring this program back to the mountaintop of college basketball? Of course, they were a Grayson Allen game winner away from another trip to the Final Four last year. It's a heartbreaking finish against Kansas.
Well, they're clearly one of the 6 or 7 teams I look at that you would consider a favorite to winning. Duke would be in that group. Certainly Gonzaga. Look at Virginia.
It's going to be a fun month of March, that's for sure. As Tre Jones to the rack.
Kentucky would be on that list.
Tennessee, a big winner today.
Yeah, I'd put them back in the group. North Carolina. Those 6 to 8 teams probably going to be on your 1-2 seed lines. Things continue to hold. Boy, DeLaurier bobbled there, got it back, and was able to finish, but a clean catch, and that's an easy dunk.
I tell you, another team that's going to be a really interesting case is Indiana. They beat Michigan State today, sweep the Spartans, do the Hoosiers, and they're sub 500.
In a big way, sub 500. I mean, there's 6 games below 500 in conference play, but they've got some big wins.
Vasilovic misses on the floater, and then Izundu is fouled on the rebound attempt. But that is going to be a very tough decision and one of the interesting ones that the committee is going to have to make.
Well, you look at the quad 1 record, 5-9. I think Louisville is in that mix. I think they got Arkansas in the game, beat Butler. So they've got a nice group of wins, but they got to continue to add wins, girl. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that, but they're capable. They're very capable.
So Steve Alford, one of the all-time players in the history of Indiana basketball, of course, relieved of his duties at UCLA earlier this season. He was here observing Mike Krzyzewski's practice yesterday. As you will see so many coaches kind of make the rounds around the country.
Good investment of time when you're not working.
So here's Anthony Lawrence, the senior. And unable to convert on the first. It's been a better Miami team in the second half if you've just joined us, but just no answers for the Blue Devils at the other end of the floor. They may have missed and left some points at the stripe today. Barrett, like a kid in a candy store, and this time he's called for an offensive foul. Little maybe off-arm.
Good call, Spiro.
Barrett.
Yeah, he got the chicken wing working. Let's see. Right arm, right there. Yep, he grabbed him. He grabbed that quadricep. That's an illegal move in basketball.
Second on Barrett. Here comes Lakes. Just has not had it so far. Lakes from the corner. No good. And Lakes, if you've just joined us, 0 of 9, but Miami sticking around.
Well, you have no chance when your best player has the kind of day that Lakes has had against a team like Duke.
Anthony Lawrence has given the Hurricanes a little shot in the arm here, Clark, in the second half, able to put that back as we get a quick whistle at the other end against Miami. Lawrence averaging just under 12 points per game. Has 9 points in the half for Jim Larrañaga in Miami. Blue Devils at 24-4, currently third place in the ACC. Barrett too much from deep. Gets his own rebound. Underneath, this is Delorier. Aaron pass. Here comes Lakes. A foot race. Jones won't get to him. First basket for Chris Lakes. He had missed his first 9. And finally his first points. Lakes hounding Jones, who's somehow able to maintain possession. Virginia's sole possession of first place by way of their victory earlier today. Carolina will play Clemson at 6 Eastern today. So at the moment it's 1, 2, 3. Virginia, Carolina, and Duke, respectively, at the top of the ACC.
Well, that Virginia team is impressive. So solid. They just haven't been able to figure out Duke, but not many teams have.
Blue Devils able to sweep that series this season. Here is Lawrence. That's a 3. Rare miss for the senior since the break.
Yeah, he's been very sharp, very solid.
He's had some big games against some top competition this season. Had that 18-8 performance against North Carolina. Delorier swallowed up. What a recovery by Izundu.
Sure was.
And it is a jump ball. It got wedged between the rim and the glass, and the possession arrow here favors Duke. Izundu showing those cat-like instincts. Jersey's retired. Our good buddy and colleague Grant Hill, and of course LeBron James, his time with Mike Krzyzewski as his head coach at the 2012 Summer Olympics. LeBron caught a Duke game a couple of weeks ago at Virginia, sneaking away from the Lakers for a couple of hours. But you know the respect that Mike Krzyzewski garners talking to any of the guys that he's coached. Just stands in a class all by himself. All-time leader in victories in Division I college basketball. Will this be another national championship season?
They've got the ingredients, particularly when Zion Williamson returns.
And Sam Wardenberg. Williamson out today for a 3rd straight game if you've just joined us. Knee sprain. How about Barrett? Incredible. Taking the contact from Wardenberg. Clark, hard to believe this kid is a freshman.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I mean, he's got a poise and maturity to his game and shot-making ability that belies his youth. I like his motor, too. He just stays with it.
Number 1 rated prospect entering college basketball this season. Mike Krzyzewski talked to us yesterday about the brotherhood that has been built between Barrett and Williamson. This entire team, Clark, they're so close. And one of the things that Krzyzewski thinks will serve them well come the end of March, when things really start to heat up. And the chemistry of this group is really put to the test.
Well, you don't find championship teams that don't have talent, coaching, culture, and chemistry. And that's at any level. And the chemistry can sometimes fill in for gaps you might have otherwise. As you look at Lykes trying to front Barrett there, a jump ball was called, and the possession arrow belongs to the Hurricanes.
There's Williamson on the bench. Boy, that sequence just about sums up Chris Lykes, how tough he is, all the size he gives up to Barrett, fighting him for that loose ball. Zach Johnson unable to complete. And now O'Connell holds as Duke resets. Blue Devils with a 25-point lead as we come up on the 9-minute mark. The new Miami would be undermanned today. Just 7 scholarship players. A team that's 4-11 in conference play. Clark, the ACC is so tough every year, but this was certainly not the year to have a down season, as has been the case for Jim Larrañaga. Nice finish by Vasiljevic.
Yeah, one of the few back doors. They had one in the first half, I can recall, but other than that, nothing. A credit to Duke's defense.
Look at Reddish. Magic. Lykes from deep. And this will be a game that that young man will be thinking about. A sophomore, still so much basketball left in front of him, as he has become the face of this program.
Yeah, he has. And a tough day today. But that happens, and as long as you grow from it. There's Bolden, boy. Oh, Duke. And again, you think about Miami not having the bodies. Only 7 scholarship players in a game like this. You can't really sub out. And Duke just continues to keep the heat and the pressure on.
That's Wardenberg on a 3. Vasiljevic the rebound. So this was a Miami team, Clark, that won 22 games last year. They finished tied for 3rd in the ACC. They were actually expected to contend this year. But Clark mentioned the absence of Dewan Huel, who these days is going by Dewan Hernandez, was ruled ineligible by the NCAA. What a major loss he has been for Jim Larrañaga in this program.
Well, you called it an abundance of riches. Cam Reddish paying it off the spin move.
Well, look at the points in the paint. The Blue Devils have been dominant in the lane today, and that has been a different story from what we've seen from them. 3-point happy during this 1-2 stretch that they've been on, and it has been led today by Barrett and Reddish.
Getting to the paint. Off the dribble. They've been outstanding. When Barrett has a head of steam, he's really hard to contain. Points off turnovers a big part of some of those points in the paint.
Just incredible as Barrett will catch his breath, seated next to Zion Williamson. Those two, by the way, are gunning to become the first freshman teammates to average 20 points per game in the same season ever. As Zion nears his return. Next up for Duke will be a home game against Wake Forest, and then the big regular season finale just up the road at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, and if Zion continues to make the progress that he's made, I would anticipate that he'll be ready to get back to the court in that Carolina game for sure. Again, just a guess.
Well, this fan base is hungry for some more hardware. That's Lawrence going airborne and able to bank it in. Last national championship here, 2015. And that here is a drought, at least for Duke, with the high standards that they've set here. They haven't been back to the Final Four since. Of course, they were very close last year, as we mentioned earlier. Something tells me there's some magic in front of this team over the next couple of weeks. Look at White. Here comes Jones at the other end. Jack White ending his nightmare three-point drought, had missed 25 straight before he knocked one down in the first half. And showing you some defense. Vasiljevic couldn't put it down outside the legs.
Yeah, they really worn out Chris Lykes today. Nothing at the rim. Challenged on his ball handling and shots.
Lykes now 1 of 13 from the field, including 0 of 6 from downtown. Hasn't had too many of these games in his career. Shot clock at 10 as Jones gets him reset. Jones is fouled here. It's on Izundu. 6:19 remaining. Tomorrow at CBS, the day tips off with Inside College Basketball. Then Notre Dame will battle Louisville, and a great Big Ten battle between number 9 Michigan and 17th ranked Maryland.
How about those young Terrapins? Boy, they've been impressive. They've had a strong season thus far.
The Big Ten Clark as DeLaurier stuffs it down. You said it earlier in the season, maybe the deepest field we've seen in the Big Ten in 14, 15 years.
Yeah, I would agree, because you look at Penn State, Illinois, Indiana, those teams near the bottom playing well. They're going to be tough outs in the conference tournament. As Izundu going to get himself to the line on the foul on the alley-oop.
And for those that haven't had a chance to check out the scoreboard today, Indiana with another shocking win today against Michigan State. As Izundu had it broken up underneath by DeLaurier.
I think both of those wins were single-point wins for the Hoosiers over the Spartans.
I think you're right. Storm the floor. It's Assembly Hall in Bloomington.
And people may be wondering, how can you even be talking about a team at 6-12 in league play with a chance? Well, you look at the number of quality wins and how they, if they can add some more, that would be good momentum. And you're going to be compared to other teams that have similar resumes. And when you've got quality wins, they can sometimes stand up in a surprising way for those last couple of at-large spots, or they could just win the big. Oh man, what a play!
Izundu.
Johnson to Izundu. Oh yeah, I feel you, young fella. That was quite nasty on the fly. Wow, it's a big-time play.
Wow is right. My goodness.
I mean, that was high speed, high acrobatics. And a small highlight in a woodshed drumming here by the Blue Devils.
Izundu, the senior, played his high school basketball in Charlotte at Victory Christian Center. But just not enough for Miami against the number 3 team in the country. Trey Jones, the freshman stud playmaker out of Apple Valley, Minnesota. Shooting numbers have really dipped in the 3 previous games without Zion Williamson, but today he's done it with some all-world defense and a timely offense. Three-pointer from Vasiljevic won't go as we are under the 5-minute mark now, second half. Blue Devils closing in on their 14th win in conference play, trying to keep pace with Virginia and North Carolina as we come up on the final week of the regular season.
Well, that's the part of the season I look most forward to, is conference tournament action starting up next week. Some conference tournament action will start, and then we'll pick it up with the crescendo of the power conferences the following week.
Clark, we've got some
leading to Selection Sunday.
Unbelievable conference tournaments coming up. You think of the Big Ten, the Big 12, how deep it is, the ACC.
But even you think about the population of non-power conference teams that are out there lurking. Old Dominion, Wofford, Belmont, Lipscomb, Liberty.
100%.
New Mexico State. I'm not saying all of those are at-large worthy, but a couple of those teams are. Will at least be in the conversation. Particularly, you get right to the board if you win your conference regular season title, and Old Dominion has already done that in Conference USA. it puts you right on the board of consideration. So very interesting to see how to play out. Middle of the pack power conference teams versus elite level non-power conference teams.
Well, the conference tournament for the mid-major is always the launching off point to see who will be this season's Cinderella.
Yeah.
As Marquise Bolden's free throw is no good. Monday, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert is all new with Julianne Moore. Plus, later this week, catch Kit Harington and Senator Cory Booker. All new Colbert later this week on CBS. First free throw from Bolden is good. Marquise Bolden making the start, his 20th of the season. Second double-double of the year for Bolden, and the third of his career, playing at full strength for the first time in his Duke career. He's had to overcome injuries, and these fans know it. They're so intelligent, these basketball fans in Durham, as he gets a nice ovation.
He gets a well-deserved ovation. He has been playing outstanding basketball, and just when you want to see that happen if you're a Duke fan, as he gives them activity, size, rim protection, offensive rebounds, and showing the ability to be capable as a low post scorer when he gets it in there.
R.J. Barrett still on the floor late in the game, unable to clean up his own mess. Lakes had his feet tangled up.
Boy, it's been a tough day. It's almost like a quarterback hitting the ground all game long, getting his uniform dirty, because they have really physically beat up in a legal fashion Chris Lykes. The size, swarming him, being physical with him, nothing at the basket. Tough day for that young man.
Time now to get you to the Capital One rewarding the performance of the afternoon.
Well, you take a look at Duke doing it in the paint all game long. They've gotten there off the pass, off the dribble, off turnovers. And it's been a number of guys, Barrett primarily, but Reddish and Bolden as well.
A win today will get the Blue Devils to 13-3 in conference. You mentioned Virginia already a winner earlier today. North Carolina playing at Clemson in a game that'll tip at 6 Eastern time. As things start to tighten up at the top of the ACC. Chris Lykes, meantime, at the free throw line. It has been a rough afternoon for that young man. Came in as the 7th leading scorer in the ACC, just under 17 per game.
Well, Duke never let him get going because they understood how important he is to the success of Miami. And if they could neutralize him, which they did, really shut him down completely for all intents and purposes, that would put an awful lot of pressure on Miami's other players to try to get it done. And as we've seen, there's just not enough there.
Jack White, second three-pointer of the day.
But I tell you, Spiro, that first one goes when you've been in a drought. He might not miss for a few games.
Couple looks at it. Anthony Mack couldn't knock it down. Wonder if the floodgates will open now for Jack White. He had missed 25 straight going back to the last Syracuse game. He had hit 28 in a row. If you go back to his last 3 attempts in that Syracuse matchup, as Izundu is called for his 5th, and he is fouled out.
With that stroke, I don't know how he missed 25 in a row, quite honestly. He's certainly a capable three-point shooter and had been really good from behind the arc prior to that weird, freaky drought. But the law of averages and the percentages always come back home as long as you stay committed to the work and don't lose your confidence. Eventually, it'll turn around.
See R.J. Barrett take a seat. Well, Mike Krzyzewski has never lost confidence in Jack White. He did sit him down in that last matchup with Syracuse. But we asked him about White and the inner fortitude of the young man. He said, look, if we didn't trust White, he wouldn't be playing. But clearly he is a big piece for this team moving forward, as he tries to give them that three-point element, Clark, that they have desperately missed.
Well, you want to have a balanced team. You want to be as balanced and explosive as you can be based on your personnel. And the one area where Duke has struggled has been from behind the three-point line. But in O'Connell, in White, Baker, who's now perhaps a part of the rotation, certainly available now since the redshirt year is gone. You know Reddish can make threes. Barrett is not prolific from there, but he can make them. So you want to continue to balance your squad and continue to refine who you are and what you're doing as you try to win an ACC championship and then ultimately the NCAA championship.
Well, all you need to know about what Coach K thinks about Jack White is the fact that he selected him as one of his 2 co-captains with Javin DeLaurier, such a huge part of this team, both on the floor and in the locker room. 29-point Duke lead as we come up on the final 2:30. Lykes probing the defense now to Lawrence with 12 to shoot. Tough runner off glass, won't go. And a rebound by Jordan Goldwire. Goldwire, sophomore, another Georgia product. White. Why not?
He might not miss for a few more games, Spiro. Remember I told you that.
You could almost see the exhale after he hit his first. And now it's like he's in an open gym. 3-point answer at the other end by Wardenberg. Mike Krzyzewski wants a timeout to start to run some of his subs in. Joey Baker will check into the game here. Baker made his debut Saturday at Syracuse. And a nice hand for Cam Reddish.
I think you can go right down the line. Everybody who played for Duke has made a contribution. I mean, it's been a really sharp performance. You know, they were coming out of that 6 games in 16 or 17 days. A couple of those, actually 4 of those games were the Saturday, Tuesday quick turnarounds. And just an extra day to rest, to regroup, can make a huge difference in your energy level and your focus. And I think we saw a very sharp, mentally and physically, Duke team today.
Last Miami bucket by Willie Harrington. And O'Connell continues the party for Duke. Final 60 seconds. As Lykes now 1 for 15 from the field.
Sometimes you have days like that, Spiro, in competition. Nobody that's played any length of time in any sport that doesn't have a day that you just as soon forget. It's all in how you come back.
Tough season for Jim Laranaga's bunch will continue. Antonio Vrankovic into the game, getting his first deuce. Antonio, the son of former European great Stojko Vrankovic. Multiple seasons in the NBA, a part of that legendary Yugoslavian national team that competed so well on the international stage, late 80s, early 90s. As we look at the updated standings in the ACC, Duke at 13-3 as we'll give them the W. Trying to keep pace with Virginia and North Carolina.
Consider it done for today.
Duke shoots 57% from the field as they win it, minus their star Zion Williamson, to get to 25-4 on the season. Nice moment between Krzyzewski and Larinaga. As this very, very tough season for Miami continues, Hurricanes fall to 12-16 on the season, and now just 4-12 in ACC play. Back to wrap it up in Durham right after this.
My friend bought a